welcome to the Hogs Happy Hour. I'm your co-host Blake, as always, joined by Ashton. Before we get started, just a couple of things we got to take care of. If you're watching live on Facebook, please send us some stars. We really appreciate all the stars you send. If you want to rate and review us on wherever you find your podcast, you can do that. We do appreciate 4 stars here over at 4 Star Sports Media. So, but if you want to rate us a 5 star, we will take that as well. So, uh, Ashton, what's been going on?
Nothing, man. I felt like it was a boring weekend not watching Razorback football, but I tell you, it was as a lot of people predicted. It would end up being the first Hog victory in quite some time with Arkansas taking on Purdue in basketball. But we'll get to
Yeah,
that a little later. However, it was fun to just sit back, relax, not worry about whether Arkansas's offense could move the ball and how you know what I mean. Uh,
yeah.
Fun weekend, just sitting around doing nothing. What about you, man? How was your weekend?
It was good. We went visited some family up in Jonesboro, so Arkansas State land. But had a little Halloween party, so we had a good time. It was like you said, it felt good not to worry about the Hogs and their offense. So
Yeah.
it was a good time. So we'll move on into. I'm gonna tell you about the show today. We're gonna start off with basketball, and then we'll move into talking about football a little bit. We'll have Dave Shumate from Mach 10 Sports. He will be joining us a little bit later on. He's an expert of everything SEC, so we're very excited to have him on the show today. So, but we'll start off with the charity game. Okay, this we are glad that we won, but it honestly does not count. But it is a great measuring stick going into the season. This game was not part of the 2023-24 season ticket package, but it still sold out at 19,200 seats. So the proceeds went to the United Way um, to help the tornado victims uh, in your neck of the woods, Ashton, in Central Arkansas. So
That's
it was
right.
a it was a good thing that we want to thank Purdue for coming to Fayetteville and helping put on this little charity event.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Kudos to
yeah,
Coach Painter, Matt Painter. Um, Man, he's been at Purdue. It seems like what 20. It seems like 20 years, forever. In fact, I was listening to the radio the other day, and I think he's only ever had one other coaching job outside of Purdue. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty
yeah,
sure that's what they said. And just the sustained success that Purdue has had over the years, and man, great players that have gone on to the league. Ha- Kudos to them coming in and to see where they're at, to help us see where we're at, what things we need to work on, what things they need to work on in the press conference. I thought it was a real professional press conference from Coach Painter, as how he approached it, how his team would what things they would work on from here on out. Obviously, one of the things he mentioned, and Blake, you'll talk more about this, is
hmm
uh, for being such a disciplined and mature team, they turned the ball over 20 times.
yep,
And that was something that he said they needed to work on, taking care of the basketball as they get ready for their non-conference schedule coming up in on Monday, I believe, is the start of
yes,
basketball
we
season.
play. Yep, we play Alcorn State on Monday night. So that's the first real game we've seen. We've seen the red white game, and then we played what's it, UT Tyler or something like that, and then Purdue. The thing I liked about this game was you learn more about your team playing a team like Purdue than you would be playing a team like UAM. No offense to UAM, that's where I graduated from, but you're not going to learn too much playing a small D2 school. So maybe this can become like a new tradition, maybe with with Arkansas basketball to play a charity type event early in the season. So I mean, it's October and we sold out. We had a sellout game at Budwalt Arena. I mean,
You know,
it was great to see.
I thought it was really cool. I see some comments from Wes.
Hmm.
So Wes did basically confirm 19 seasons, and before losing to the Razorbacks on Saturday, Coach Painter had never lost an exhibition game
Yeah.
ever in his career.
So yeah.
And we're going to highlight some guys, and I think it would uh, do some justice if we first person we kind of mentioned as being a major factor in the basketball game is none other than the Memphis transfer Chandler Lawson. Man, he was
Yeah.
tasked with guarding um, Zach Edey, who stands at a monstrous 7'4",
Yeah.
300 pounds basically, and
And here's the
he's just a
thing.
man, grown
And
man.
he's the reigning national player of the year. So he's the
Absolutely.
best player in college basketball.
And 15 points, 9 rebounds. He didn't even get a double double in the game, and really didn't get a whole lot of opportunities to block shots to affect the game in the grand scheme of things. Really, what affected the game was they could shoot the ball a little bit from the outside. Some guys that we made beat us did actually have some success, but Chandler Lawson, man, 6 foot, 6'8",
Yeah.
down there in the post, and just mixing it up with Edey going up. What you saw from Arkansas and what you saw from Chandler Lawson is athleticism. That's what I noticed all throughout the game, basketball wise. Is Arkansas is going to throw an athletic lineup on the floor, and even with a guy like Mitchell on the floor, who's not necessarily the most athletic, you still have a team on the floor that just gets up and down the court. They know what their identity, and it's amazing to me, right, Blake, that already, because normally I get real upset, right? I'm real ticked
Oh
off with
yeah.
Arkansas basketball in January, but it looks like we already have an identity of who
Yeah.
we are.
Yeah.
And as Wes just mentioned, that Lawson is the most coachable player he has ever been around, and I could fully see that. He knew exactly what the game plan was. He knows that what type of player he is. You're not going to see Chandler Lawson take a lot of shots. Okay. And Chandler
Yeah.
Lawson knows he's not out there to win the game for you.
Hmm.
But when you need him to step up and hit a big shot, he hit a big three. I think he had another big jump shot. He's a mid range game. Do what you're asked to do. And I saw basically from top to bottom Arkansas players doing exactly what they were asked to do. Now, we had some moments right throughout the game where we had some uncharacteristic things done, guys trying to be a little bit more than what they need to be. And you probably know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of what you're talking about. I kind of contribute that to our transfers coming in. They haven't played in front of a crowd like that. They're trying to do the alley oop or the dunk, or they're trying to make some play. I just
Right.
felt like they were trying to do too much because they're not used to playing in front of these large crowds that they will play in front of this year at Bud Walton Arena. Um, all right, going through some stats. All right, Mark. He led the Razorbacks. He had 15 points along with Brazil. They each had 15 points. Lawson had 10. Ellis had 12. Khalif Battle had 12. So it was kind of it wasn't one guy scoring the ball. It's kind of evenly spread out, which is what you want to see. You don't
Yeah.
want to see a guy go for 28, and the rest of the team have 8, 7, 6, or whatever points. Um, so Lawson had a huge three. Uh, I mean, not Lawson. Lawson sealed the win by making 2 free throws with 6 seconds left for the 5 point lead. We only shot maybe 14 free throws, I think, in the game.
Yeah, it wasn't many. We didn't
Yeah,
shoot a single one in the first half.
yeah, yeah. So I'm sure the refs are kind of warming up too. So, um, but Razorbacks shot 50.8% from the field. Had 14 steals and forced 20 turnovers. Edey he finished with 15 and 9 rebounds, and Purdue had 0 first half assists, which I thought was huge.
Yeah. Yeah. I just felt like from the very beginning of the game, Brazil wins the tip. And I even thought the whole time, like, Brazil looked like a more complete player than Edie. Now, he's not built like Edie. They're different styles, no doubt about it. But as far as like skill level goes, he can shoot it. He can get to the rim. He can rebound. He can block shots. And the way the basketball game is changing, if you're a big man, you better be able to shoot it. You better be able to be able to get up and down the court. And I agree with Jason. Your brother commented there. I agree with Jason. It's going to be fun to watch this year. And Wes asked a question and said, "Is Layden Blocker an Arkansas kid?" Layden Blocker is, I believe, from the state of Arkansas.
He's from Central Arkansas,
but he took his talents to where did he go to?
He went to California. Was it Cali? No.
Or was it Missouri? I don't know. I'm not 100% sure.
It might have been the Link Academy kids,
But don't get me lying to you, Wes. As far as where he's from, or as far as high school goes. But yeah, I mean, he's from Arkansas, and yeah, he's a stud. He came in and immediately, it's like he was hands to the ground, down in a stance defensively, and then he handled the ball against a upperclassman, like doing it like he had done it all his life. And like he had been in this environment before, and he was not fazed. I wish, from my perspective, I know that it's an exhibition game, but I know it's who we were playing against. I would have loved to have seen Bayfall play a little bit, just to see, even if it was just for a couple minutes, just to see what he's like. Layden Blocker's nickname is Headband. I love it. Yeah. Okay, for Wes, his nickname is Headband. Yeah.
Wes, he's already one game into the season, and
right, and that's
already got a nickname.
That's pretty funny. But what I noticed, obviously, go back to when Musselman was in the transfer portal, and we were all worried, right? I think me and you were both on the same page. Mm-hmm. Here's a guard. Here's another guard. Here's another guard. But what did you notice, just depth-wise, when we took a guard out? Whoever came in, we didn't drop any talent level at all.
No, we didn't.
The shooting was still as good. Handling was still as good. Defensively was still as good. We looked set.
Yeah, I know. In the middle of the game, you text me saying, "Dude, we have some shooters this year," which we do. All right. So let's talk about the transfers real quick. Which one was the most surprising to you with their play?
Chandler Lawson. Yep. Chandler Lawson was the most surprising to me. I don't remember seeing Denijay, I think that's how you're saying his name, Denijay Harris, which I believe is a Southern Miss transfer. I don't remember seeing him play. Tremont Mark. I thought we were getting more of just a pure defensive specialist, which he is. He is. But the dude can create his own shot. That mid-game, that little mid-range game, yeah. And someone said I feel like I made a good comparison with Lawson. I feel like Lawson is a more athletic Jimmy Witt, a taller, more athletic Jimmy Witt. Just because Jimmy Witt was always responsible for covering the other team's big man on the inside at the high post. That's exactly what Chandler Lawson was asked to do, and he did it. And then the other one, I like Davenport, and I really like Battle. But as far as surprising goes, Lawson for me.
Yeah, Lawson, he didn't get a lot of publicity when he transferred to Arkansas. It was kind of a under the radar type transfer. So, I kind of agree with you being the most surprising. I love the way Ellis plays. I'm excited to see him play in the SEC. SEC is stacked this year regarding basketball. Might be the best conference. Some people may disagree, but I think top to bottom, it's going to be a dogfight every single night. Let's talk about Brazil coming back. He looked pretty healthy. I don't think he's limited at all. I think he's fully back from his injury, which is good. So.
Yeah, Brazil's a game changer. Brazil's a game changer, man. You notice they had to get Edie out of there. Mm-hmm. Brazil hit a couple big threes back to back, and you notice that Edie's not going to go out there and cover
Yeah.
the wing.
Yeah.
So
So
moving
yeah,
forward,
yeah, Purdue's not going to see a athletic team like that, in conference play.
right? I think
So
you got the Big
so
Ten. Big Ten is
mhm,
built more towards they want to be rough and tough with you. They want to run offensive sets, half court sets. Whereas compared to most of your SEC schools, maybe all of your SEC schools, except for maybe A&M, we want to get up and down the floor. A&M, Buzz Williams has always been a half court uh, defensive coach. Control possessions, keep the score low, always stay in the game. That's kind of the way I think your Big Ten schools, and which I think also get your Big Ten schools beat a lot of the time in the tournament.
yeah.
When you get a team that you've never heard of, never played before, as you saw with Purdue and Fairleigh Dickinson,
Mm-hmm.
they can shoot the rock, and when your possessions, you hold on to the ball and you don't score, and they go right down the floor and score. That's a problem.
Yeah, I think that kind of concerned me was you know, Purdue had some open threes and they just didn't hit them, So I feel like that's just one concern I have is the 3-point defense. I mean, if you're going against a team that might be able to drain those shots, we might be in trouble. But again,
Yeah,
it's very
maybe
early.
I guess I could see where why you would be
Mhm.
concerned about that. I guess for me, I was a little bit concerned about it. I noticed they got a lot of open threes, but also what I noticed is the reason why they were getting those open threes is because they had to pass the ball out. They were not going to get to the rim easily.
Yeah,
And what happens a lot of the times, especially with 3-point percentage, I'm sorry, consistently speaking, on a night to night basis, the team's not going to shoot 40% from three.
yeah,
You're going to, if you shoot 30%, you're probably doing pretty good as a team. I would rather them have to kick the ball out, shoot threes, because what happened? Purdue missed some of them, and we get the long rebounds, and we're on a run out
hmm
because
yeah,
we're already got 5 minutes in the paint. I
yeah,
was super impressed with it. Every time someone was beat to the basket, there was help defense. There was
yeah,
someone there waiting, and then we had another guy rotate
yeah,
or another guy. It's just impressive that we were able
yeah,
to you know mesh so well together this early in an exhibition game, and even against
yeah,
UT Tyler. Of course,
yeah,
we understand that UT Tyler isn't
yeah,
Purdue,
yeah.
but we seem to play real well together.
Which is, that's kind of what Muss wanted. He had a team full of freshmen last year. I say full. Well, your starting crew was full of freshmen. So he went out and got some veteran guys, and it's working out for him so far. I think
Yeah.
I don't maybe the January slump will not happen.
Well, I
So
think I think here's the thing. I think Musselman definitely changed his recruiting tactics. I don't blame him. Can you blame the guy? You had Anthony Black, Jordan Walsh, Nick Smith Jr. Do you blame him for changing his recruiting style a little bit? No, of course not. But what did he find out? That if you got to come down to if it comes down to March and you got to win with three freshmen, most of the time that doesn't work.
yeah,
In fact, the majority of the time, 95% of the time, it's not going to work. You got to win with experienced guys. You got to win with guys who have been battle tested consistently for multiple years. And that's kind of like we saw with UConn, is how tough they were. Man, they were bigger than us, stronger than us, faster than us. Now,
yeah.
were they more talented? Maybe not necessarily, but they were definitely more experienced.
Yeah, so here was the starting five. It was Brazil, Ellis, Devo, Lawson, and Mark. Do you think that's going to be the kind of the starting five moving forward, or you see anybody kind of switching in and out?
I could see if things don't work out with Lawson, I could see maybe Mitchell working his way
Hmm.
into the five spot and letting Brazil play the four. But right now, as it looks like Brazil is going to play the four and Lawson's going to be an undersized five, which we saw. You only gave up 77 points in overtime. We're talking about overtime
Yeah.
here,
Hmm.
and it worked. All you got to do, listen, you got to be able to help defense. When a ball goes into a bigger man on the inside, you've got to have someone be willing to come down and help, make them kick it back out, and then you recover defensively. Are they going to get open looks for three teams we play? Yes, I think we saw that. And you've got to also understand something else. Our game plan for teams isn't always going to be the same. They purposely set that game plan up for. I think Musselman said how they played certain big men in the NBA whenever he was a
Yeah,
coach.
it was Shaq. He said
Okay,
that was the
and
game plan against Shaq.
so perfect. I mean, I think that's awesome. We have a head coach who has so much experience. He's dealt with guys like Edie, even more talented than Edie and Shaq, and he had a game plan. And I thought they executed the game plan, maybe not flawlessly, but really effectively.
Hmm. Yep. Also, a thing most people didn't consider is this was a great recruiting trip, recruiting tool for the basketball team. We had I'm just going to name off some names that were there at the game Saturday. Now all these are basketball players. So 2025 Hog offer Terrion Burgess. 2025 Hog offer Isaiah Seeley. 2026 Hog offer Aiden Chronister. And then the rest of these guys are the in 2026 class: Anthony Hester, Jordan Harris, Tristan Janke, Micah Moore, Ladero Robinson, Marcus Britt Jr., and DJ Hudson. If you know anything about basketball, those are some big time recruits.
Now, is Marcus Britt Jr. Is that the same? We didn't we have a Marcus Britt play for the Razorbacks several years back?
Yeah, there was a Brit. I don't know if it's Marcus Britt, but we'll have to do some research on that
Yeah,
to see.
interesting. Yeah, there were some big names up there for sure. Terry on Burgess being one of them, who's from right here in Central Arkansas, actually from the same school district I currently teach in, Benton,
Mhm.
and
Yep.
he's every bit of probably right now 6'10". So I don't know if he's
Yep.
a 4 or 5 star,
Yeah.
but he's definitely on. If he's not a 5 star, he's probably on the verge of it.
Yeah. Now, was it you? Was it you telling me he'd grown like what
Yeah, so he
a
was listed
couple?
at 6'8" last year, and I remember he came over to our elementary school because they were advertising their basketball camp. He was actually in a boot at the time, and he was probably 6'8", but they say he's every bit of 6'10" now. Probably built like Bayfall a little bit, if I had to bet, a little on the skinnier side. But you put a year or two in college basketball, put some weight on, I think he'll be all right.
Yep. Had a little connection issue there, but I think we're back on. We good? All right.
Yeah, we're good. I didn't
Anyway,
see anything.
all right, we're good. Yeah, it was jumping around there for a minute. All right. So, any thoughts about Monday's game against Alcorn State? Um,
I don't know anything about
I
Alcorn
mean, we
State.
should win by.
Yeah, we should
We should
win.
win by a lot.
Yeah. So Marcus
You
Britt
know, these non. Mm-hmm.
is actually related to. I believe it shows that he's related to Marcus Britt Jr. Because they're both from
Yeah.
Forest City. So
Okay. That's fine.
that's the connection there. Anyway, sorry about that.
No, you're good. I was just saying, you know, non-conference, you just kind of want to come out healthy. You know, last year we had a big time injury, and it kind of really
Yeah.
affected the season. So
Yeah. Now, I mean,
it's all
I think I gotta be careful as far as non-conference goes. I gotta be careful to keep my expectations in check because we could definitely go for the battle for Atlantis. We could go down there and lose 2 games, 3 games, and reality kind of punch you in the face a little bit that we aren't as good as we thought, or we go down there and we play really well,
yeah,
and then your expectations go through the roof. But I think we
yeah,
got to all be careful as Arkansas fans that we make sure that we don't peak early. You don't want to peak early. You want to win,
exactly.
absolutely, but you don't want to peak early in the season.
And if you were wanting to go to the Duke or Arkansas game, good luck because ticket prices cost about as much as a Taylor Swift concert, and
What is the cost now? Is it up to 250 or more?
it's yeah, it's up there in the 800s, 700s, 800s.
And I said 250. I was way under. Everybody's probably
Yeah,
wishing it was 250.
yeah, and that price will only go up. I think.
Yeah.
You know, now teams coming into the Bud, it's gonna be tough for them to win if if it's rocking like it was this past Saturday. So good sign. All right, real quick, I want to go over some Hog news. All right, we've talked about our soccer team, our girls soccer team. They recently won the SEC championship. As you can see on the screen, it's their fourth time. They won it 2019, 2020, 2021, and now in 2023.
They had a really, really good season.
Yeah.
Really
Yep.
good season. Beat some really good teams too.
Yep. Yep.
And if you
Also, our cross country team also won the SEC championship too. So we've earned 2 SEC championships this past week.
no surprise. No surprise at all.
Yeah, our track and cross country are, you know, uh, you know, they're the
Pretty
reason we have a bunch of national championships at Arkansas.
absolutely right.
Yeah. The girls soccer coach Kobe Hale, he was the coach of the year in the SEC, so very much deserved for him.
Yeah. And Coach Hale, you go look at his record, boy, he's had a lot of success. Double digit wins most maybe every year. I don't know if it's every year, but most years he's been at Arkansas double digit wins. So props to him. Congrats to him.
Yeah.
Always fun to bring home some hardware for the Razorbacks.
And then our very own Hudson Clark, he is a Burlsworth Trophy nominee. I believe this is given to a walk-on who started off their college career as a walk-on. So obviously the Burlsworth, the name is it's associated with Arkansas, but it's not, it's a nationwide trophy. It's not just an Arkansas trophy.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, in fact, I was watching a football game the other day, and one of the Burlsworth nominees is on one of the teams that is struggling just like us, and that's Mario Anderson, the running back from South Carolina, who came in and just was an absolute dog. Unfortunately, he's about the only dog for South Carolina. So yeah, I hope Hudson Clark wins it because he's really grown and he's part of a pretty dang good defense right now.
And to my surprise,
I'm shocked
we
too.
do not have an 11 o'clock kickoff, which
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a good thing or bad thing.
We're in prime time, baby. 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock afternoon. You go hunting in the morning, come home, watch the Hogs play. So, all right, now we're going to move on to the SEC. We do have a special guest with us right now. The Hogs Happy Hour wants to welcome Dave Shumate. He is from Mach 10 Sports.
What's up, guys?
How's it going?
Good. How about y'all?
Doing good.
Just talking some sports.
How's everything in Arkansas?
Football wise,
dude, I saw, dude. Everybody did Arkansas. I did my basketball preview last night, dude. Arkansas. I mean, I'm not telling y'all anything y'all don't know, dude. I think this could be Muss's deepest team this year.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We were just talking about that. As far as we were worried in the offseason, Blake and I were when every time we looked up, we saw a transfer and it was another guard, and all we could think about was going back to the tournament. How UConn just bullied us down low. We were thinking, oh man, we need big men. No, I think we're gonna be okay. I think we're gonna be all right.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think Tennessee and Arkansas, and I think there's a little bit of a gap. Some people may argue with me about A&M, but I do think it's Tennessee, Arkansas, a little bit of a gap than a couple other teams.
Right. Yeah. I'm kind of curious about Kentucky, especially I watched them play. I guess it was a D2 school, Georgetown College, and I just, from my opinion, just watching the game, I wasn't super impressed with Kentucky. They kind of look discombobulated a little bit as far as gelling together as a team. So maybe it's just early for Coach Cal in Kentucky, but we'll see.
No, I'm with you. It'll be interesting to see how he does with that young team, and then they have some injuries. They're banged up early. But the SEC in general should get 8-9 teams, I think, in the tournament this year.
I think you're right.
Yeah. Before we get started, Dave, how about you tell the fine folks out there a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so again, you mentioned Dave Shumate started my SEC podcast, Mach 10 Sports. We do football, basketball, and baseball, and then actually graduated from Alabama. I worked in college football for 10 years, so started off as a student in Alabama's football recruiting department, and then after that worked at Miami, Georgia, Auburn, Texas A&M, and Kansas, and then UCF back with Gus Malzahn. And then, shoot, if I didn't get out, my wife was going to divorce me. So it's either that or that dude. Yeah, I mean, my wife was like, we've moved 5 times in the last, 6 years. So no, but now, yeah, I got a day job to do this thing on the side as well.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well,
Awesome,
we are former coaches, so high school, junior high coaches. So
yeah,
awesome.
Now we just kind of do this in our off time and when we're not working, dealing with kids on a daily basis. But we chose it because that's what we enjoy doing.
Yeah.
But this is also sports is one of our main passions. So we appreciate you taking your time.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, we're looking forward to it.
All right, I'll start off. What has been your biggest surprise this year in the SEC?
Biggest surprise from the SEC this season from a football standpoint?
Yeah.
Just off the top of my head, just because I was looking through my notes before I was leaving work today. Honestly, probably Ole Miss's defense being improved. I did not see. I thought from a personnel, from a back end, they would struggle a little bit from a depth standpoint. I don't think they have any real dudes, NFL player. I mean, they have some guys that are probably on a roster on their defensive line, but they're deeper than they've been ever since before Kiffin. I mean, they roll 4 to 5, 6 deep. I mean, again, it's not like guys you're game planning against, but there's not much drop off from the first, second, or even I guess you go third team if they get some injuries and whatnot. But probably, I mean, I thought they would not be very good this year because I didn't think they've been relatively healthy injury wise. But I think Pete Golden's done a good job. Like I tweeted the other day, I think it was a beneficial move for both teams between Alabama and Ole Miss for Pete Golden to move to Ole Miss and then bring on Kevin Steele. I think both defenses have improved. I would say Ole Miss's defense for sure, and then yes, this isn't a real surprise. I actually thought I had A&M preseason going 10-2. It doesn't look like that's going to be the case right now. So they surprised me a little bit. Going else around the league, I mean, South Carolina, you talk about I feel bad for Spencer Rattler. I feel like he comes out and plays every week. He just gets no protection or help. They're dropping a bunch of balls. Yeah. Surprised outside of that, I mean, I just off the top of my head, I'll probably say the Ole Miss defense being a lot better than I thought.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were fooled with the Ole Miss defense, and part of that I think goes back to the way LSU was able to throw points up on them. And I was actually fooled myself because I thought when Arkansas went in and played them, I thought to myself, okay, surely, we may lose this game, but Arkansas is going to throw up some points. And Ole Miss, they were tough. They moved sideline to sideline. They were really effective at causing disruption in the backfield. And then I went back and looked at their other games, and I realized real quick they're actually pretty good.
Yeah, really. The only game they didn't play good at really at all was, like you said, LSU, but LSU's putting points up on everybody. So it's kind of tough to hold that. They got a bunch of older guys on the veteran. I mean, they'll have to replace them all at the end of the year. So you're living with the portal, dying by the portal. So, again, that's why I don't know from a sustainable standpoint if they can consistently be good on defense because, again, you're not going to go hit on a bunch of seniors every year out of the portal. So I don't know how sustainable that is. But, again, yeah, they would surprise me. I'm trying to think of something else. That's right. LSU's defense being as bad as they are is
right.
Thing too. I know they're beat up. They're going to start 2 or 3 freshmen on the back end this week. But them being as bad as they are, and I know some people think they've improved over the last 2 weeks, but again, the 2 offenses they played were Auburn and Army. So, I mean, now could they have improved? You go back and watch the film. It looks like they're playing a little more see ball, get ball. It's not as complicated. But at the same time, I don't really know. I mean, Auburn's so bad offensively outside of that first half against Mississippi State, and then Army, I mean, they run a totally different offense, as y'all know, than LSU will see again and again. Army's not very good this year.
Yeah, and going along with some of the things you've already mentioned, as far as like surprises. So, question for me, really 2 of them you've already mentioned, but I'll just stick with one for now. At what point, right, does Jimbo's luck run out in terms of keeping his job?
So I have a buddy who's on staff there, and I used to work. So I was with Jim. I was at A&M for 2 years. So someone's last year, and we didn't even sign a class with them and then Jimbo's first year, I was lucky to get retained. I think this week, I don't know if he has to win it. I don't think they can go get embarrassed though, because the crazy stat is for Jimbo Fisher, while he's been at A&M, has never beat both Mississippi schools in the same year. Now in 2020, I know they only had 1 loss to Alabama, but their Ole Miss game that year got canceled due to COVID. So technically, he's never beat both Mississippi schools in the same. Now they play Mississippi State next week at home. They should win. Now, again, I was on a show last week. I was talking, if they lost to South Carolina or Mississippi State at home, you might as well start calling the moving company.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think they're a little bit more banged up than people think on the back end going into this game against Ole Miss. I kind of liked them early in the week. I don't know about now. But again, I think if it's competitive, which is weird to say, we're talking about it. They just got A&M's got to be competitive with Ole Miss. It's crazy to think about. For whatever reason, I always felt like the national pressure on Jimbo was more than even like College Station or the Aggie fan base even puts on him. It's kind of just like, whatever, like we're set. Now, again, I don't think they're going to like 7-5, but I think if he were to split, I think he's going to survive this year unless they go get embarrassed on Saturday. They should still probably beat Mississippi State, beat Abilene Christian, I think they got. Then they go at LSU. Yeah. I mean, if he gets embarrassed this weekend and at LSU and they finish 7-5, I don't know. You may have some big donor people be like, you know what? That $75 million isn't really. It's not as much as we thought. They'll find it some way. I think this weekend though is massive, and I think he knows that as well.
Right, and I've always wondered, as far as keeping a coach, how much the keeping a recruiting class goes into keeping a coach, even when that coach is not necessarily performing up to the standards of the fan base or the standards of the boosters. If you get rid of a coach and you go from having a top 10 class and all those kids just start, boom, 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 decommitting, I think what you're starting to see from like Texas A&M standpoint is you have all these kids on the defensive line. And I saw this as an Arkansas fan. Defensive line wise, you're seeing these kids who are 5 stars, 4 stars who are really just developing. And if you fire a guy like Jimbo, who could turn around and have another great class this year, despite being probably being 7-5, 8-4, whatever it may be, you put yourself in a tough situation as a school, losing a lot of big time recruits.
Yeah, it's almost from an admin standpoint. Do you think keeping the guy for another year when you probably know at heart he's not your guy just to save a recruiting class in today's time?
Yeah,
that's the only issue now. The more I've thought about it, like since I've been out of football for the past since I've been out of college football for the past year and a half, it's almost like how many guys have been like on the hot seat? And it's like, you know what? Like he saved his job this year.
Yeah.
Let's see what he does next year. Actually turn it around and never on the hot seat. I really can't think of anybody off the top of my head. It's almost like once he's already a dead man walking, it ultimately happens. Like, I mean, how many years did Gus Malzahn just skate at Auburn? 4 years in a row.
Yeah.
It felt like he was on the hot seat, and it's like, man, if he doesn't split Alabama or Georgia this year, he's fired, and he'd go beat one of them. And then they go lose their bowl game, look terrible in it, and they'd be pissed off all offseason. Like, we beat Alabama, but then we go lose to UCF in a freaking bowl game. Like, what the hell? It was like the same thing over and over again, and ultimately it caught up to him. But it is interesting. I was talking to a buddy about that the other day. It's like I can't ever remember a guy in college football like being on the hot seat and then getting off and just having success where he never gets fired. Once he's kind of in that hot seat, it's kind of over.
Yeah.
Kind of feel bad for a guy like Zach Arnett right now at Mississippi State, kind of the same thing. His name getting brought up so much.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to assume that Georgia and Alabama are the top 2 teams in your mind. So who is the third best team in the SEC?
I'd say LSU right now. I think on a neutral, it all depends what that secondary looks like this week. I know they're going to be playing 3 true freshmen, but on a neutral field, I would still probably take LSU over. I know Ole Miss beat LSU, obviously in Oxford, but I still feel like on a neutral field, I would still take LSU to beat Ole Miss. I would. And again, I'm interested to see what Missouri looks like. I don't think they're going to win, but I think they stay within 15.5 points.
Yeah. You know what? You say that. I've been thinking about this all week. I wouldn't be shocked if they did win. I really wouldn't. Now, that's just something about. I'm not a fan of Eli Drinkwitz. Me and Blake aren't fans, but
there's no Arkansas fan that is.
I think a lot of people kind of think he's like borderline cheesy arrogant.
Yes.
It's like a little bit. It's like some of it's kind of. He's kind of like the old shucks guy. That's a little bit like comes off a little arrogant.
And right now Arkansas fans would probably take a little cheesy / arrogance from our head coach, but I wouldn't be shocked if they did go in because just something about him, the way. Then again, I also wouldn't be shocked if they were right there at the very end and then just he made a bonehead decision and they lost.
I'll just be interested. Georgia's defense, obviously, it's not as good as they have been the last 2 years. But again, I don't think anybody expected that for them to be either as good as they were in 21 or 22 on defense. because I don't think they really have that interior defensive lineman that's disruptive like Jordan Davis or Jalen Carter. Yeah. But I will be interested. I think this is probably the best wide receiver group they have faced. Now, some people may argue with Kentucky. I mean, I think Kentucky probably is a group maybe a little more upside than those guys, but Kentucky's offense and the receivers in general have dropped a lot of balls this year. Right. Yeah. So this year specifically, got to give the edge to Missouri. So it'll be interesting to see. I think the key in that game is how handsy do the refs allow Georgia's DBs try to control Missouri at the line of scrimmage? Like, can Missouri's receivers, do they not get frustrated if Georgia's pretty physical within those first 5 yards of them to disrupt them and get them off their timing?
So my last question, and I don't really know how to answer this. South Carolina fans, if you're a South Carolina fan, are you justified? Do you feel justified by being upset with Coach Beamer, considering all the injuries that South Carolina's, suffered this year?
Well, y'all may be able to help me on this. Was there I forget their over-under win total going into the year. Was it 5.5 or 6?
Man,
it was something like Vegas had them at over-under team win total or team total 5.5, 6. What, they're at 2 now? They got to win out to get to 6.
Yeah, and I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I mean, you would. Yeah, honestly, I may take Jacksonville State plus 15.5 this week. I mean, you think they get Vanderbilt? The whole standpoint for South Carolina is what's their motivation going into those 2 games? Could they win out? Sure, they could win all. I mean, none of those 4 games, I'm just like, yeah, there's no way. But I'm with you. Like, I don't think they're going to win all 4. But when you factor in the injuries, I think some of he's going to have to get rid of some coaches, because I think Montario Hardesty, the running backs coach, is totally missed on all those running backs. I mean, they're moving DeCarrion Joyner to running back. They got the Division II kid, the Mario Anderson kid. And I know they're starting running back last year. Marshawn Lloyd transferred to USC. But again, at some point, and from talking to a buddy over there, the AD, Ray Tanner's got to get on board with the NIL stuff and not just – they have money, but they're all allocating it to facilities and stuff. And I don't think they're – putting that money from an NIL standpoint, from a retention standpoint of their current players. That's why they're losing, I think, a lot of their top kids. But from this specific season, I mean, like you said, though, I mean, I haven't seen an offensive line as beat up as they have. I mean, I saw a report the other day they were moving tight ends to a tackle, which, I mean, I guess it's totally out of the realm.
Yeah, I was watching them this past weekend. And they had every single game this year. They had a different combination of starting offensive line every game.
Yeah, nobody's going to win like that. But I do think he's going to have to make some changes. I think he'll have to get rid of his DC, which at that point, this will be finished his 3rd year, and he's fired both his coordinators, offensive coordinator last year, and then fired his DC. I think he's got to make better assistant coaching hires from a recruiting standpoint, so they can actually get some real players in there. And then when they get them on campus, retain them so they're not leaving. I mean, I hate it's like that, but it is what it is at this point. But I think this specific season, I mean, if they can go win 3 more games and get to 5, which, I mean, I'm not bragging about a 5-win season. Yeah. You factor in the injuries. I mean, I don't think people are fired up, but I think it's kind of like, all right, Shane, let's see what we do next year in 24. I don't think he's on the hot seat or anything, but I think overall, I think it's a bigger picture than just this season. I think they got to figure out how to retain their best talent when they sign. Like the Nicholas Harbor kid, the receiver kid.
Right, the big kid.
Somebody's going to come after him just off his 100-meter times.
Right, he's like, what, 6'4"?
Yeah.
And I watched the game over the weekend. He had there was one, it was early in the game, pass hits him, I mean, square in the hands, just drops it. And then later in the game, he makes a few good catches. But, that kid can fly. That kid can absolutely roll. And, of course, what do you think people are doing to Razorbacks just as much as they're doing stuff? They're poaching. I really feel like they were like, hey, look, why would you want to stay with this when you could do this? I 100% agree with you. And it's also odd to me to think that you may see this sometimes on defenses, a walk-on be one of your better players.
Yeah.
That's out of nowhere. But I would be concerned as a South Carolina fan that Mario Anderson, who's a walk-on, is probably your most effective running back right now.
Yeah. And
he probably plays with the most heart. That's what I saw. He's playing with the most heart.
And to start the year, you're having to move a guy that was, when Shane Beamer got there, a 3rd-string quarterback, and DeCarrion Joyner into your running back room. It's like you said, that's something from either an evaluation standpoint you're missing, or it may not be evaluation. You just don't have a running backs coach who can close the deal and get good players on campus. And again, they signed Marshawn Lloyd, but I actually think that was Muschamp and them. I think he was already on campus by the time when Beamer and them got there. But I mean, again, he went to USC. They hadn't retained him. And then even some of their best defensive, what was the Jordan Birch kid went to Oregon, I think, in the offseason. So it's just, like you said, Arkansas is probably in the same boat from that standpoint of retention of if you sign good high school players. I mean, outside probably them signing like a kid, like I remember just off the top of my head, like the Andrew Chambly kid. They're like, y'all know the state of Arkansas has good offensive linemen, and I don't think those kids would leave Arkansas because most of those kids grow up being Razorbacks and want to play for the state school. But it's the kids like y'all talking about, maybe a kid from Missouri or a kid from Texas that other teams are going to come fish around. He doesn't have major connections to the University of Arkansas except he liked him out of high school.
All right, Wes Pruitt has a question for you. He said, what are your thoughts on Clark, Lee, and Vanderbilt? He seems to be building the program, quote unquote, in the right way. Yeah,
that's an interesting Vanderbilt, man. That's just such a hard job right now. It is. You could see numerous grades for him. And they haven't won a game since week 1? Because remember, they played week 0. They started off 2-0.
So they played Hawaii, right?
And I hear he's going to fire. I think he's going to fire a majority of his staff. I think they're going to make him. So I think both coordinators are going to be gone. I mean, where do they go from that standpoint? I know they're trying to go. Barton Simmons, who's their general manager, is trying to go. I think they're trying to get some funds allocated for them to try to keep some kids. But man, I'll ask y'all, what is a realistic in today's college football? What is a realistic expectation at Vanderbilt? I mean, think about it. If you have a big time left tackle, Alabama went and stole their left tackle last year, the Steen kid. I
say 4. I say 4 wins. If you win your non-conference games, that's a good year at Vanderbilt because the SEC is just tough.
Then you're adding in Oklahoma, Texas. It's like you also, it's like where do those wins on paper? You're losing every conference game. Now you're probably not going to lose every conference game, but on paper you are. I mean, yeah, I don't think like getting rid of Clark Lee is the answer there. I don't really think that's the easy answer. I mean, I think he's going to make some coordinator changes from what I've heard, but. I mean, who are you going to go get out there and who's going to be begging to come take that job if they're kind of like, so if I recruit well, my freshman year, they're going to come, most of these teams are going to come take my players. Like, yeah, I mean, they got to get something. And at the end of the day, they're not going to, as y'all know, it's a big academic school. So I don't really know what the alum, the AD, I mean, for the longest time, they didn't even have an AD because the situation with the university was so weird. It is what is, Wes is probably right. You said it too, 4 wins and maybe beat Tennessee every now and then. But hell, a Tennessee fan would tell you if they're where they're supposed to be, they're not losing to Vanderbilt.
That's right. Yeah. I've always wondered whatever advantage Vanderbilt had is, I think when NIL came along, the Vanderbilt advantage is gone. And I think whatever James Franklin had at Vanderbilt, where he was able to win back-to-back seasons, 9 wins. Yeah. I don't think that I just don't see that happening ever again. I really don't. And maybe 6 wins is probably the ceiling for them on a good year.
Yeah.
But with NIL, outside of baseball, Vanderbilt's not competing.
And it's like you said too. I mean, even those years with James Franklin, think back on it. What was it? That was 2011 and 12,
forever ago.
Think of Georgia and Florida were kind of, in Tennessee were kind of down. I mean, for Vanderbilt to be good, some other teams have to be down in the league.
Yeah.
And right now, Georgia's not down.
I think in order for Arkansas to be good, someone has to be down.
Someone's got to. I used to talk about Arkansas back because so I graduated high school in 2008. I'm 34. I remember back when I was in high school. I mean, when you had Darren McFadden, Arkansas won. I think when I was in high school, won the West. If you go back to middle school, maybe 2 or 3 times. Mm-hmm. But I think the thing back then, Arkansas could sell to like Texas kids. When it was just a 12-team SEC before A&M and Missouri came in, that, hey, you want to play in the SEC? Like, them and LSU were the only 2 teams that could sell to a Texas kid. Like, hey, you want to come play in the SEC? And they're like, oh, yeah, man, it's probably the best conference. Let's go. Now, Oklahoma's in the SEC. Texas A&M's now been in the league for over 10 years. I think that's hurt Arkansas from the standpoint to go recruit Texas, at least in my opinion. It's like you said, where does Arkansas – I mean, first of all, you got to keep – if you have a top kid in state, you got to keep him. That's a non-negotiable. But after that, I mean, you're going to be battling with everybody else that's in your league from a surrounding border standpoint geographically.
Absolutely. 100% agree. Dave, if people want to follow you social media-wise, how can they go about doing that?
Yeah, you can just follow me at Dave Shumate. Yeah, that'll take you right to Mach 10 Sports.
And do y'all have a Facebook page? Is that the Facebook page?
Yeah, YouTube. Yeah, Mach 10 Sports And then on Instagram as well, Mach 10 Sports. And then you can get us all on every podcast avenue as well. You can go Amazon, Apple, Spotify, all the stuff like that. Episodes are Monday and Thursday. So I have a show tonight at 7:00 as well.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So,
Awesome.
Yep. So hopefully you'll want to join us, especially during basketball season.
Oh, for sure. I appreciate y'all asking me to come on, guys. I appreciate it.
No, man, we really, like I said, we appreciate, we know you got things going on, but we appreciate you taking time out of your day to spend about, 30 minutes with us just to talk some, SEC football and sports in general. But perhaps in the future we have you back on. It'd be awesome.
Oh, whenever y'all want, let's get on to it. Hell, this is my favorite time of year. We're getting my favorite time of year. People always talk about like Masters Week. And again, like I don't really get into golf. I try to play golf. I'm not very good. But people talk about Masters Week being the greatest week in sports. And I think the NCAA tournament's up there too. One of my under the radar favorite weeks of sports is that feast week when you got all the Thanksgiving basketball tournaments and you got rivalry week in college football. You know what I mean? It's like what? But if you start the Maui Invitational, it goes Monday all the way through damn near Saturday.
Yeah, my poor wife, you mentioned your wife. My poor wife wants to leave me because I don't want to leave my chair throughout that whole week. I asked her, hey, can you bring me a plate of turkey so I don't have to get up and
no doubt. Between it being cold outside, there's a lot to watch in college basketball and football. Yeah, most people aren't leaving. Most guys aren't leaving their chairs.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, hey, man, Dave Shumate, Mach 10 Sports, man, we appreciate you. Perhaps, like I said, in the future, we'll have you back on. Appreciate your insight.
Appreciate it, guys. Anytime.
All right, man. Have a good one.
Thanks. All right, that was Dave Shumate from Mach 10 Sports. Be sure to go follow him on Twitter and YouTube. So he's got a lot of experience and insight dealing with D1 athletics.
Yeah, definitely a lot of good insight as far as knowledge goes. Good background in sports. A lot more background than we have sports-wise as far as being involved with college programs. So it was awesome to have him on. Appreciate you, Blake, getting that set up. Maybe we'll have him on again later on this year.
Yeah. So, all right, real quickly, we're just going to run through the SEC games, and then we'll preview Arkansas, Florida, and then we'll keep rolling. All right, first up is Texas A&M at number 10 Ole Miss. I see Ole Miss winning. I think, like you said while talking to Dave, that Jimbo's job could be in jeopardy pretty soon.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Dave hit the nail on the head. If Bobby Petrino and Jimbo go in here and they get absolutely throttled by Ole Miss, I think his job is definitely on the line. Mm-hmm. I personally think Ole Miss wins this game. I don't think they score a whole lot of points. I think A&M's defense, and I've seen Lane Kiffin get frustrated on the sideline. Texas A&M has a type of defense that can frustrate Lane Kiffin when it comes to play calling. So I picture in my mind like a 27-17 type of game. Ole Miss wins, and Texas, and then Jimbo doesn't have to worry about his job.
Yeah. All right. Now this game is interesting. Okay, number 12 Missouri at number 2 Georgia. Remember last year Missouri led Georgia in the fourth quarter, I do believe. Yeah. So, I mean, is Georgia a better team than last year?
No, I don't think so at all.
All right, is Missouri a better team than last year?
Oh, yeah, I think definitely. I think most definitely they're a better team.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think, being at Georgia is going to, it might be a different outcome than last year. I mean, obviously Georgia won last year, but Missouri kept it real close. So, as here on Hogs Happy Hour, we're not fans of Drinkwitz, but he's done a great job this year.
Yeah, I can't argue that.
All right. Vanderbilt might get an SEC win. If this is a pretty good chance for Vanderbilt to get that coveted SEC win, but I'm picking Auburn.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard for me to pick against Auburn, considering that Vanderbilt's just not very good, and I've seen Auburn nearly beat Georgia this year. I think Auburn's defense is better than what most people realize. I don't think their offense is very good, but they do have a guy who can run the footballs in Peyton Thorne, and I think he'll do enough to win the game for them.
Yep. All right. Next is Kentucky at Mississippi State. I saw Mississippi State up close and personal, and they're not very good. So I'm going with Kentucky.
Yeah, I'm going Kentucky as well, and I just don't think Mississippi State's is the same caliber team.
Yeah. And then the big game this weekend. Well, actually, this is a great SEC slate of games. So, but the night game, number 14 LSU at number 8 Alabama. I don't. If this is a shootout, LSU wins. Okay,
I think you're right. Yeah,
scoring game,
shootout,
Alabama wins.
But I just don't know. I don't know how to. I think you got two receivers that can get loose for LSU. Man, I don't know who to pick in that game. I think that I've seen Arkansas play Alabama, and we weren't very good. LSU's better. Now their defense is not as good as ours. I don't know. I'm gonna go LSU. LSU goes into Alabama, beats Saban.
Yep. Okay. And the game of the weekend, Arkansas at Florida.
Yes, the game of the weekend.
11 o'clock. It's Florida is having a little blackout game for Arkansas, so they're going to be wearing some special uniforms just for us. Looking at Florida side, it's tough to game plan because you don't know what the offense is going to be. So I feel like Florida's going to enter with more than one defensive game plan, depending on what they see from the Kenny Guiton offense. I don't know if you know this, but practice has been closed this week. So no media, nobody has been able to watch practice. Coach Pittman said he didn't want any pressures on Kenny Guiton, with it being his first game. So there's reports that Rocket has been practicing, but, how much is he practicing? Is he just walking through? Is he actually getting hit? We don't know. And magically, Rocket is healed once Danny Enos is fired.
Yeah, I don't know what to expect. Arkansas may come out and play with some passion. Who knows? I'm struggling right now to pick Arkansas to win any football game until they prove to me they can win. That's just where I'm at right now with Arkansas football.
Yeah, I'm going with the Florida victory because it's at Florida. And do you know how many times Arkansas has won at Florida?
I'm going to say once.
I think it's 0.
Is it?
I think so.
Oh, that's right. It is 0.
Yep.
That's it. We talked about that. We've already been talking about that. I think it's 0.
Yeah, we almost beat them, but Mark Curls had some other ideas when Ron Mallett was there. With all those great receivers we had, we almost beat them, but did not. So it's a tough place for Arkansas to win at, and so I think Florida's going to dash our bowl hopes that we have, the little bowl hopes we have, and dash them. So. Yeah. I'm sure you're feeling the same way.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be going to a bowl game.
All right, even if we lose, okay, let's say Arkansas loses. What would make you happy?
Score 30 points.
Okay.
Yeah. 4 touchdowns. 28 points. 4 touchdowns. That would make me happy.
Yep. I just want to see some good offense. We're still in the hundreds in a lot of categories. So we'll see. Now Florida's defense is I think it's like 5th in the SEC if I want to top my head. So, but all right. We're going to talk about college football nationally. What is your thoughts on this cheating scandal that's been going on?
All right, so I don't know.
With
I don't know
Michigan.
exactly the full scope of it. I'm going to talk about it from like this to perspective of someone just like myself who's coached football. Unless they've done something that I just don't know, maybe they bugged something. I don't know. I thought part of the game was scouting. I thought that's all they were. I mean, you scout. If I'm just going to let you know that you play a baseball game as a baseball coach, it's very common to look and try to pick other team signs. I think it's normal, and I think also that football wise, you watch film, you can most of the time see the other team's sideline or see down in the corner the other team's sideline. If they're holding up a sign and they run a play on this, when they hold up that sign, what do you do as a coach? Do you not tell your team that, hey, they're holding this sign up, this is what you need to, this is what's coming? I mean, you know what I mean? That's just I'm confused. Maybe I don't know the whole story, obviously. I also haven't read too much into it. I do think it's kind of weird though. If this guy, what was his name? Stallions? I don't know his last name. If he was on the sideline for the Central Michigan game, if he was on the sideline for the Central Michigan game, I'm sorry, that to me is kind of hysterical. Which I don't.
Yeah,
it's kind of weird.
What
that
a
really was.
bold. It's a bold move.
Yeah.
Very bold.
I mean, why in the world are you on the sideline in the Central Michigan game if that really was you? But you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they were scouting Michigan State, but I feel like I feel like you're not scouting the right teams. If it's kind of like cheating in school.
Yeah,
don't cheat on
cheating on school. It's you'll cheat
on your math.
Don't cheat on a 10-question vocabulary test.
Yes. Yeah. You need to cheat on the big 100-point test, not the 10-point quiz. But all right, so a lot going on with Razorback athletics. Basketball plays Monday. We'll break it all down next week. We'll break down the football game. We'll see if Dave Shumate might want to come back on. That was a great conversation we had with him.
Yeah, man.
So
I was impressed. He does a good job.
Yeah. I'm about to head to a game that you're probably interested in. It's Monticello and Crossett. Yeah, about to kick it off here in about an hour. So it's for the third spot in the 4A, 8-4A. So loser gets third, or loser gets fourth, winner gets third. So it's a very important spot for playoff seedings down here in the armpit of Arkansas. So.
Yep.
All right, so for Ashton, I'm Blake. This has been the Hogs Happy Hour here on 4-Star Sports Media.
Be sure to
see you next week.
Be sure to like and subscribe if you have the opportunity to do so. We'd really appreciate it.
Yes, find us wherever you listen to all your podcasts.
All right. See you, brother.